of buildings weren't able to take advantage of it, and we were never, after 2003, able to update that law. So one thing we're trying to do is, for those distressed properties, we want to make sure that we can actually get their debt forgiven and then have those buildings not go through third-party transfer. Probably people know about a third of the buildings on the third-party transfer list are HDFCs. We don't want people to lose their equity, so we want to make sure that there's an opportunity for them to maintain their homes for themselves and not get lost into, which is a terrible system, the third-party transfer program. The city's doing a lot of things to oversee it, but that's one big thing that we can do on the state level to ensure those buildings don't go into foreclosure. Other issues that we've been trying to work on is the damn property tax. There's still seats up there. People want to go.
If you have an empty seat next to you, can you raise your hand?
There's a lot of seats that people want to go.
Yeah, if you want to slide in, but make sure you take all the paperwork.
And so the idea was that we've heard a lot. I've heard a lot from buildings where they're trying to get refinancing. They've got shareholders to come in and want to buy, and with the damn tax cap expiring soon, they were really trying to extend it. Our goal at this point is to make it permanent. When we met with the HDFC Coalition a couple months ago, they was about creating a different tiered structure for buildings that are different levels of AMI. So what we've been proposing to the city is buildings that want to continue to function at an 80% of AMI. The damn tax cap isn't really helpful for them, getting them to get full tax abatements, and the other buildings that won't go to 165% of AMI, making the damn tax cap a permanent damn tax cap. And the third option is, we've been hearing a lot from some buildings who want to just get out, and they don't want to continue to be HDFC, so we want to create a pathway out of the program to ensure that those buildings that want to live as a market rate co-op, and there's a lot of reasons for people who want to do that they can move out of the program. So the last thing, and this is the fourth piece, is really, we've heard a lot of conflicts in either in inter-shareholder disputes or conflicts with shareholders and boards, and really feeling like there's no space for those people to have those conversations. And historically the AG's played a small role, HBD's played a small role, but there's been really no central place where shareholders that are having disputes could go outside of their own building to figure out there's some supportive mediations. The Midtown Court has a mediation program, but it's really not effective. So we had an ombudsperson for all co-ops across the city, and we introduced that with Senator Kruger 2 years ago. And the idea that we've been having, and we talked to the coalition about it, was just focusing on the HDFCs and maybe having a much more narrow tailored program. So when there are conflicts, there's a place that people can go to dispute it. I live in a co-op myself, and I know how sometimes there are spaces that are difficult, and there needs to be some, whether a third party to help mediate disputes that sometimes isn't appropriate for the board, or people don't want to go to the board. So that's the game plan that we've been working on. We put it on a one-pager so people can understand it. Some of the stuff has been introduced in legislation, some of it hasn't. Some of the legislation will be modified because that's how legislative process is. We put something out there, and then there's a back and forth. With the larger bill, we intentionally didn't introduce the bill because we wanted to get a lot of feedback, and that's what we told the coalition when we met with them, I think in early November, that we were drafting and we wanted to get feedback. And the goal that we and I have all the time is to do what's right for people in this community to maintain their homes. I don't want income annual certifications. That's not the goal. The goal isn't, these are the things I've heard, the goal isn't to have people lose their homes. That's not the goal. We want people to be able to stay there, maintain whatever level of affordability they can, and really have options. Some buildings will function at 80% of AMI and should be in a really different place and get much more tax breaks, because the damn tax cap really doesn't help them right now, because the real estate taxes, for whatever reason, don't get to the damn tax level. So we need a different system for them. For some folks who want to function at a higher level of AMI, we need to make sure their structure works for them. And for some people who want out, we need to make a structure that works for them. So those are the overall goals. And the goal is to go through an iterative process that includes shareholders in our community and people around the city and the state to craft things that will work, understanding there are different dynamics. And the last thing I'll say is, I know what I know because of my experiences in the world, and it's important that we all have different experiences that we all bring to the table that helps inform how we move forward. I think fundamentally we need to do something because I think the system isn't working in its current state for a lot of people, and I've heard that time and time again. So doing nothing isn't the right idea. It doesn't mean we have to do everything today, but I don't want to lose other buildings to third-party transfer anymore. I think we don't want to see that happen. We don't want to see buildings not be able to survive. We don't want to see this system not functioning. We don't want to see all these pieces not work. So that's why legislating it is a good way to do it. The other thing I'll just say is, I thought it wasn't a smart move by HPD to force every building to sign a regulatory agreement. It's creating, it's the carrot of getting something from the regulatory agreement. I think it's better to do something statutorily that no one has to sign a regulatory agreement. And the rules are clear under the state statute. Then we don't have to every building to come in and sign a regulatory agreement. And because we don't, some buildings won't, and then there might be penalties if they don't. If we do it statutorily, then there is no need for regulatory agreements because the statute will govern. And the statute may govern saying you're out, or the statute may govern saying you're covered by A, B, or C. But that at least clarifies everyone's role, so we don't have to have back and forth saying, well, it's with this instead of that. We don't have to figure out, well, what is persons of low income mean? What is 6 times the rent roll? What does that statute of the private housing finance law actually mean anymore? So we write it not in 1961 language, or write it in 2020 language that really takes into account where we are today.
Okay, so basically, as,
Sorry. Are there any more chairs anywhere?
Chair here.
I mean, empty seats?